Coming up next on Arizona Horizon's Journalists Roundtable, the governor wants to appeal a court ruling that requires increased funding for K-12 education, and a congressional candidate makes national headlines for all the wrong reasons. The Journalists Roundtable is next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon's Journalists Roundtable. I'm Ted Simons. Joining us tonight, Aaliyah Rao of the Arizona Republic, Jim Small of the Arizona Capital Times, and Bob Christie of the Associated Press. The state is set to appeal a court ruling that requires increased funding for Arizona's K-12 education system. Aaliyah, let's start with the court ruling. We talked about this a little bit last week, but again, what the ruling says and what the state is wanting to do about that.
The ruling basically deals with the money going forward and says that the state needs to add $1.6 billion over the next 5 years to the per student funding amount. Now, the schools thought she was going to sign it immediately and it could go into effect. There was a hearing this morning and she agreed to let the two sides kind of go back and forth a little bit more. So everybody's sort of waiting to see when she's going to sign the judgment. And then she's still got to deal with the stuff going backwards, so $1.3 million going backwards.
So we've got what, 317 some odd million averaging out for the next 5 years. Looking ahead, $1.3 billion in back payments looking behind, and the governor basically says can't do it.
Yeah, they're going to appeal, and I think a big part of the argument is how much the legislature actually should owe, and the legislature made this argument prior to this ruling. And they basically said, look, yes, we're required to do 2% at a minimum or inflation, but there were some years where, inflation was 2.5% and we gave 5%. So we should get extra credit for that extra money that we gave, and so that should basically defray what the per pupil base should be set at. If you go with their math, I think it comes out to about $80 million or so in new funding for the current year, and use that as the new base going forward, which significantly cuts down the cost.
Yeah, that's a big difference from the $320 million this year that the judge said they owed. This goes back to this, of course, the Supreme Court decided last September. It said, no, you have to pay this. And it seems the more this drags out, the bigger the check might end up being for the next governor, maybe, if we go into an appeal.
But again, how do you appeal for not honoring the voters' wishes in a ballot measure?
It's a very legal debate over the words and or, essentially. Did they have to do transportation funding and boost per student funding, or could they do one or the other? It literally is a legal issue over the words and or.
And again, the judge has given a couple weeks now for folks to figure out their arguments, so it's nothing's official, which means you can't appeal something that's not official. But you were mentioning that maybe something can be defrayed and lower that down to, but what about those back payments?
Well, and that's going to be discussed in October. There's going to be an evidentiary hearing. The judge today set aside a week to let both sides present their evidence as to what the state can and should do at that time. And legislators that we've talked with and the governor's folks have all said that, look, we don't have room in our budget. We can't just go find $1.3 billion and pay that money back. And so I think that the argument there is going to be that A, the state doesn't have the resources, and B, okay, we were wrong, but you can't really force us to come back and pay this money.
Well, the Supreme Court may differ. They're the ones who ordered them to, who said what the legislature did was unconstitutional, went against the voters' will, which once a voter initiative is passed, it's set in stone. You can't just ignore it. So I think we're going to have a reckoning day fairly soon, and it could blow a big hole in the state budget. We had a $9.3 billion state budget. This is $3 billion altogether over 5 years. So that's 5%, 10% a year. Big deal.
Well, and the thing is that earlier this year, the schools offered to settle this. They wanted to settle this. They went to the legislature and said, look, you guys are looking at $2.5–3 billion. If you lose, we'll settle with that. We'll settle with you for half that amount, less than half of that amount, and we can just wrap this whole thing up and figure out, sign and order a consent decree and figure out how we're going to make these payments and what the new base level is going to be. And the legislature rejected that out of hand.
Rejected it out of hand then. What kind of negotiations could be going on now? How's the education community taking all this?
They're very excited, obviously. I mean, that's an enormous amount of money going directly to the schools, potentially. So they're thrilled. I mean, but they still say, they're giving the indication that they're willing to have some conversations, particularly about the money going backwards. I mean, everybody understands the state's financial situation. Is there a way to give more money to the schools, help the kids, and not literally blow up the state's budget?
Yeah, and blowing up the state's budget is, I mean, some would say, find a way to pay for it. I mean, really, can you find a way to pay for this?
There are a lot of conversations going on behind the scenes about how you can pay for this. I mean, right off the bat, you could almost get 2 years of the going forward money out of the rainy day fund. There are some tax cuts which are being phased in, which you could possibly put the brakes on. You know, the governor said yesterday, no, this will decimate our public safety budget and other budgets. And, you know, there's a nasty old word called a tax increase that, you know, the legislature could potentially do. There's some trust fund money, state land trust money. One of the governor's candidates said at a forum the other day, let's talk about that money. So who knows what's out there?
Well, and this may be, you know, for a long time, for I'd say the last decade, you've really had a lot of conversations about the need to reform the state's finance system and figure out a better way to pay for schools. The current finance system was put in place in 1980. And over time, it's kind of, you know, like any sort of code, finance code, it gets holes poked in it. And so now there's all sorts of inequities in a system that was initially designed to be equitable across the board. So this may be actually the impetus to get people to seriously look at this issue and talk about it. And maybe it doesn't happen right away, but when you're talking about a potential $3 billion hit, I mean, is there a better way to fund schools? Maybe a way that absolves a lot of this problem and keeps this problem at bay going forward.
But we're still stuck with the voter initiative which put this in place. And so any major change to that funding formula, you'd have to go back to the voters. And you'd have to have a governor pushing it and the legislature and the Democrats on board to really be ensured that that deal would get put in place.
You were going to say?
Well, you've got, you know, both Democrats and Republicans for at least the past year or two have agreed the education funding system doesn't work, but nobody's been willing to sit down at the table and start having conversations about it. It's possible this will force them to, but yeah, can you get both parties and a new governor at the table at the same time to agree on anything? I don't know.
And the education establishment.
And the education establishment.
And then the voters, because this, you know, this funding formula is protected by the voters.
Well, is there, maybe I'm missing something here, but is there irony in that this was supposed to be protected by the voters, but the legislature's just kind of ignored that? But a tax increase is supposed to be protected by a 2/3 majority. No one's ignoring that.
No, no one is. And that's a reference to the Medicaid expansion, of course. It is ironic that the legislature knew that what they were doing went against the will of the voters 4 years ago when they cut this funding. And they knew it, and they looked at the and or that Aliyah pointed to with a wink and a nod and said, don't worry, our lawyers can get us out of this. And the Supreme Court, in no uncertain terms, says no. You know, don't play those games with the voters. So, you know.
And so all this is likely to fall to the next lucky governor, huh?
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think all 6 of them are still running, and the 7th, and Fred Duvall's still running, so it looks like they're all still in it.
We will certainly ask the Republican primary candidates about it Monday, but again, that's a heavy piece of machinery there falling in your lap.
You're literally having to look at redoing the entire budget.
Yeah. All right. Bob, what in the world was Adam Quasman doing down in Oracle, and what does it mean for his campaign?
Well, Adam Quasman, as we know, went down after Sheriff Bevue of Pinal County said, you know, the feds are sending these illegal immigrant minors to this boys' camp, so we've got to stop them. And there was a big rally, a lot of Tea Party people down there, a lot of armed militia types to try to stop this. And a bus load of kids came up the road, and you know, everybody rushed out to stop him. Well, apparently, right at that point, Adam Quasman left and came back to Phoenix, where he was interviewed, and he was put on TV by one of the stations, and he said, I saw the fear in the eyes of those kids. Well, they were YMCA kids.
Yeah.
And they weren't the immigrants. And he was caught with a size 14 boot in his throat, and it's going to kill him.
We should mention that I think William Pitts was down there, and Bram Resnick was here and in the lobby over there at Channel 12. And how do you back off something like that? I mean, what in the world can he do about this?
Well, and his answer was, well, those kids were sad too.
Except,
And then he apologized for causing some misunderstanding.
And there were reports that the kids were just having a gay old
kids-
time with their cameras and cheering and laughing and looking at
Nobody
all the
was
angry
sad.
people out there.
exactly. This is a classic case of a politician who was making political hay on an assumption and was caught in almost a straight out and out lie. I hate I hate to say it, but the facts are there. So how does this help or hurt his campaign? Well, it just kills him, I think.
Do you think it kills him in the Republican primary, though? I mean, he's down there with a bunch of folks who are anti-immigration.
Well, the fact that he's down there, that helps his campaign. But with others who aren't decided yet, who already haven't decided on whether it's Andy Tobin or Gary Keeney or Adam Quasman, which is a large population, and you look at the facts and you get a guy who makes stuff up, that just kills you.
And what was Sheriff Babu doing announcing that a busload of unauthorized kids were headed in this direction anyway? Why did he make that announcement?
Well, he didn't really make the announcement. He actually just tipped off a political ally and that political ally then went and started organizing this protest to try to do in Oracle what happened a few weeks ago in Murrieta, California, where protesters blocked these buses and these transports, and they turned around and took the kids back to the holding facility. They're trying to do the same thing. It quickly became evident that Paul Babu was involved in it and leaked the information out. I don't know. I mean, craven politics, I guess. It's a way to get attention, build or continue a reputation, and raise money, which we saw him doing the next day. His political committee sent out a fundraising email off of that event and basically said, look, what happened in Oracle didn't actually happen, but it could have happened, and this is what we should raise money for, and this is what we're trying to fight to stop.
Is that something that helps or hurts, do you think, Paul Babu's already once resurrected career? Hard to say?
He's like Lazarus. He just keeps coming back. But, with him, the immigration issue, it has paid off and paid off and paid off. So with him, I could see it being a little bit of a benefit.
Same question that we had with Quasman. I mean, again, you're talking about folks that are fighting immigration down there. That's a big deal.
That's a big deal, and it doesn't hurt the sheriff as much because he's not running for election this year, so he's
sure.
But he raises his national profile. It gets him on CNN again. It gets him a lot of folks who will write him checks when he decides to run for Congress again, which most of us probably think it's likely in his future. It helps him, but it also, for those skeptics who say they're just playing politics, Paul Babu hurts himself a little bit with this.
And with all this, once again, Arizona's on everything from CNN to the Colbert Report.
Yes, a nice mention, I guess, of this whole event on the Colbert Report. I mean, it was, I think what was the last time we were on? Was Cesar Chavez? Was that the last time we made this?
Yes, I think it was. So it never ends. We should be getting some sort of royalty checks from the Colbert Report. All right, CD7 debate. We just had this last night here in studio. Seems like a two-person race here. Mary Rose Wilcox, Ruben Gallego. What do these camps do not like each other?
They do not like each other. Mary Rose Wilcox is endorsed by Ed Pastor, the longtime incumbent in that race. She's retiring. She has had her eye on that seat for 10 years. And Ruben Gallego, who has made a name for himself in the State House of Representatives, is one of the top leaders in the House. He really, he's trying to make, the fight is over the old establishment versus the young folks in that district. And if, at the debate, you could see that, well, first off, Ruben looked a little nervous. He wasn't quite as animated as he normally is. He's usually very open and very free speaking. He was a little nervous. Mary Rose did well for herself in the debate, but they were throwing bombs at each other, as you might expect in a debate.
Although not the kind of bombs I think you'd expect, because they seem to agree on a lot of the actual issues. With that in mind, Randy Camacho, high school teacher, Jarrett Malpin, a neighborhood community activist and a school board member, and said, can those play spoiler in something like this? Can they take enough away from one side or the other?
They've each probably got a little bit of a core group, but in that district, probably not. Probably not enough to pull enough away to really hurt somebody.
What do you think?
I think it depends on turnout. I mean, this is a historically low turnout district. So, you're talking, a margin of a couple thousand votes, really could swing it one way or the other. But and I think the challenge for both Mary Rose Wilcox and Ruben Gallego is to change that electorate, is to go out and drive their own people to the polls to make sure that instead of 20,000 votes being cast, 24,000 votes get cast. And if you capture, if you're Ruben Gallego or Mary Rose Wilcox and you capture 2/3 of those, you really helped yourself out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is a ground game issue. This is not going to be a TV ad campaign. This is a community organizing, get out the vote, motivate your people type of campaign. And Mary Rose has been doing this in this district for a couple decades, and she's got Ed Pastore's machine behind her, so one would think that would benefit her. Ruben Gallego also is really good at his organizing, so it's going to be a hard one to call.
We also had a debate between John Hubenthal and Diane Douglas, Republicans. We had Republican and Democratic debates for the Superintendent of Public Instruction. John Hubenthal, Diane Douglas is there for one reason and one reason only, and that is anti-Common Core.
Right.
How do you think that's turning out here?
There's a huge group of people in Arizona who that is their issue when it comes to education. I think she made the argument that it's not a single issue, it covers everything. And you got a decent amount of people in Arizona who may agree with her. I don't know if it's enough to win an election, though.
How about on the Republican side, though? I mean, first of all, it's a Republican primary.
It could be, and then obviously you've got Hubenthal. Hubenthal's running against himself. I mean, she's running on Common Core, and he's running against himself. So, yeah, she probably has a chance.
And he tried to defend himself. He's been a big Common Core supporter. He's gone around the state for the last couple of years to Tea Party groups and other groups who are opposed to Common Core and trying to win them over to the Common Core, which is the new school standards. What he did at the debate was kind of interesting because I hadn't seen him do that before. He said, I'm trying to craft the Common Core standards to Arizona's conservatism.
Right.
So, he's trying to chip away at those folks who really hate Common Core by saying, listen, these are here. We're going to try to make them more Arizonan.
And he also mentioned that he killed off ethnic studies in Tucson and fought off changes to the English learner language program. He obviously was trying to say, I'm just as conservative, if not more so, than anyone else around. How's that working out there, especially with those anonymous blogs still hanging out?
Well, I think he made the point on the program with you, that the only people who seem to bring it up are those of us at this table, not voters out there. And I haven't been following him. I don't know whether that's in fact the case. But look, I think Common Core is really the issue that separates these two at the end of the day. I mean, when it comes to other education policy stuff, I mean, the other big education things are going to be funding and school choice, and certainly John Hubenthal has been discussed ad nauseum earlier this year, is a big proponent of school choice, and I'm sure Diane Douglas is as well. And so when you kind of come down to that Common Core issue, I think that's really where this flashpoint's going to be, and it's been an issue that's been I think building steam amongst Republican voters for the past year.
And on the Democratic side, the David Garcia and Sharon Thomas debate maybe a little more lively than some had anticipated. Sharon Thomas certainly is forceful in her beliefs.
She is. She was quite forceful. She did a good job, I thought, of calling out David Garcia on a couple issues that I don't think he maybe was prepared for. David Garcia said, listen, I send my kids to traditional school, I support traditional schools, and she said, well, wait a minute, you send your kid to a Montessori school. And he says, well, yeah, but it's a charter school in the Phoenix School District, but it's so she got him on that one. He didn't, I don't think he was able to defend himself very well on that. I mean, he tried. But she does she is very forceful. And
is that the kind of thing that Democrats are looking for? That kind of, because it almost becomes a battle of personalities. It looked like Garcia was trying to, I'm a leader and I'm a statesman-like and all this sort of thing, and she's a hard charger.
She is a hard charger, and she made the point that, listen, we've had professional educators in this office for a long time. I'm a teacher. I know what the schools need. That's what I can do better than Garcia, who's primarily an educator and a college professor type.
Leah, what do Democrats think about Common Core? Are they mostly aligned with it? Because you hear teachers, some are for it. You don't even know where they're coming from. Some of these teachers say, "This is hard stuff, and in 5 years they're going to make us do something else again." Yeah,
I think you've got a lot of teachers still trying to figure it out. I mean, just as a mom of a first grader myself, I think there's a lot of teachers still trying to kind of figure out what it means and is it good and is it bad and which piece works and which doesn't. I think coming in as a Democrat, as a teacher, there could be a lot of value in that for voters. Seeing, she talked about, I've done the Common Core, I've done the testing, I understand it. Whereas Garcia, I don't know. I mean, I think there's some question, from voters with that. So I could see that helping her in the election.
And she made the point that the person who's going to be in the Superintendent of Public Instruction office is going to be charged with implementing that. And the way you implement those standards is by getting the teachers on not only on board, but giving the teachers the training to change curriculums, because it's a change in the way they've been teaching things.
And it
So-
was interesting to hear David Garcia basically talk about his leadership skills and the ability to work with others and these sorts of things. And again, she was more, nose to the grindstone kind of thing. What's going on as far as these television ads? Doug Ducey now is filing a complaint over a TV ad. What's going on here?
Yeah, there's a TV ad attacking him by an independent group called Better Leadership for Arizona. It's a pro Christine Jones independent expenditure group. Appears to have some ties to GoDaddy founder Bob Parsons. They're spending, I don't know, say about $900,000 or so, or $800,000 on a TV ad right now, going after Doug Ducey. The complaint, there was a letter that was filed last week that the Ducey campaign sent to the news stations, the stations that are airing it, and said this ad contains, errors in it and you should pull it down. And he got no response to that. So they filed a complaint with the elections office. And it's not actually about the content of the ad. It's all about, did this independent expenditure committee follow the law? And the law says essentially that within 24 hours of paying for an independent expenditure, you have to send a copy of it to the person you're attacking. And the Ducey campaign says, we didn't get that. We have several mailing addresses. We didn't get it at any of them, and therefore they're violating the law. And the penalty is triple the amount that they're paying for the independent expenditure, which works out to like $2.5 million.
Indeed, and not only that, but it's considered an in-kind contribution, and so you got that's up with 707 some odd thousand. That's way above limits there. So,
Yep.
I mean, are we watching dark money battle it out in the dark here? I mean, what's going on with all this?
It's getting complicated this election cycle. Everyone's throwing around the phrase dark money with every independent expenditure. There's a lot of independent expenditures that you can go in and look at who their contributions are coming from. I think with that one, when the next filings come due, we'll probably see who the
Right,
money is.
right.
The idea is probably GoDaddy. But so it's interesting. I think the media is trying to figure it out. I think the voters are trying to figure it out. I think there's a lot of allegations going around. I think we just have to see it play out this election.
But to some extent, the complaint like that is inside baseball. Maybe they're doing it just kind of scare off the next guy. But as we all know, lawyers take a long time to get things done. We'll be well past the primary before any of this happens. So the voters will have been impacted by the ad, and we'll deal with this in March of next year, maybe. So.
Well, just ask Tom Horn. I mean, we're 4 years out from that thing, and we're
Yeah.
still dealing with
Indeed,
that. So.
indeed. Speaking of Tom Horn, very quickly, tires. What's going on with the tire slow? What's that?
Tom Horn sold his Jaguar, the famous Jaguar that the
Gold Jaguar, right?
Yeah, that the FBI was following him around during a lunchtime meeting with one of his friends. Apparently, the person who he sold it to took it to his mechanic, or his or her mechanic. They haven't identified who sold it, who he sold it to. And they had it inspected, make sure it's okay, and make sure that everything's going to work right. And they found 2 of the front tires had been partially slashed, to where potentially, maybe if you're on highway speed for a long while, they could have blown out. Maybe the person could have crashed. Now, that's what, of course, Tom Horn's folks tell us. We have no reason to doubt that, but we're now going to have a little bit of sympathy for Tom Horn, maybe because somebody might be out to get him.
Well, we're certainly
Or they
having.
hope we do, right?
Yeah, and we're certainly having an investigation from the Attorney General's office on
And
this.
added security from his staff.
That's right,
too,
that's right,
yes.
which he hasn't had before. Back to the governor's race real quickly. Andrew Thomas has unleashed his first TV ad. A crossed out Mexican flag coming up at the bottom toward the very end, says that he took on the gay lobby and all sorts of things. Can he play spoiler in this race?
He could get some votes. And, Andy Thomas is well known for his positions aren't known. I don't think anybody who knows Mr. Thomas was surprised by this ad. I've watched him at a bunch of forums, and you ask him a question about any subject, and it turns to illegal immigration. I mean, you could talk about Common Core. Well, we got to deal with this, but then those illegal immigrants, we got to stop them from coming to our
Right.
schools.
Right.
Everything. So that ad really didn't surprise me. The gay marriage, or the gay lobby thing, that surprised the heck out of me, just because where'd that come from?
And real quickly, before we go, would you like to comment on one of the gubernatorial candidates doing pull-ups?
Yeah, there's a new ad from Frank Riggs, Republican, also running on the anti-Common Core mantle as well. And it's a commercial like none we've ever seen before, where he's doing barbell presses and pull-ups shirtless on a that looks like in a garage, and Definitely something that I think that got a lot of attention this week. He got some earned media out of it, if through social media, if nothing else.
The best ad of the week, though, was the Smith ad, the "Don't Be a Sheep" AZ. It's only running online.
Yeah.
They haven't bought an ad yet, but
All
it's
right.
worth watching.
We will keep an eye out for all of them. Thank you so much. Monday on Arizona Horizon, we will have another debate, this time between the 6 Republican candidates running to be Arizona's next governor. A special hour-long clean elections debate Monday evening at 5 o'clock and again at 10 right here on Arizona Horizon. That's it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thanks for joining us. You have a great weekend.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.